Everyone, and welcome to week 7. This week, I am going to give y'all a lot of extra time to work on your interview project. Like if we were meeting face to face, this would be a week that I would probably be giving you time in class to put the project together, ask me questions, whatever it is you need to do. So this week, you have a very light week as far as work goes. Yeah, you only have one asynchronous assignment. There is a discussion board this week, so please don't forget it. But I also wanted to show you just some student examples of things that students have turned in that got pretty good grades on this interview project. Most people choose to do a PowerPoint, so I just wanted to kind of show you one that was actually really, really good. This was a student who interviewed her mother, who is a nurse, and she just kind of wanted to, the title of it was What Led You to Want a Career in Healthcare? And so, hold on a second, it's being slow. Come on. Just background. She gave a background about her mom. I've removed like identifying information because we have to do that as teachers. But this would be a great slide to include in a presentation, so it's not just the questions or answers. And two, if you are doing more of a paper where you're typing it out, your first paragraph, this would be great. Something like this, where you give some background information about the person that you're interviewing, so that way you don't just jump into the interview and then the audience, who is me or whoever takes a look at yours, has like no idea what you're talking about, and we have to kind of deduce it from the question. So having a background slide or a background paragraph if you're doing a presentation, or if you're doing it more like a podcast type thing, a good introduction where you're introducing the person, who they are, why you're choosing to interview them, is just a great way to lead into it. So this is perfect. Here, what I like about this is that they include images. If you're doing a PowerPoint or a Prezi or something like that, it's really, really good idea to put in images, because 90% of us have some sort of visual quality to our learning style. It helps keep an audience engaged. If I'm pretty sure you've seen it, if you've seen these PowerPoints that are just nothing but slide after slide after slide after slide of words. I've been guilty of doing it. I apologize. But if you really, really want to engage your audience, one thing you would probably really want to do is include an image. Now, sometimes, like especially in an interview project, you want to make sure that whatever image you're including goes along with the theme of the project. Now, if you're interviewing a specific person, like a grandparent, their background, maybe try to see if you can get some pictures of them. And ask, though, first, hey, would you be comfortable including pictures in this presentation? And they might not be. And if that's the case, let's say you're interviewing your grandparent and their hometown is, I don't know, Cincinnati, Ohio. You could include a picture of Cincinnati, Ohio. Just get a stock photo from the internet and do that. And this is what this particular student did. I don't think their parent really wanted to include her image on here, and so she went and got some stock videos of healthcare just to kind of emphasize that healthcare theme throughout the project. And so it was very, very effective overall. So good questions. When was the moment you realized you wanted to be a nurse? She included the quote. And then the next slide is kind of her comments from that, where she just kind of reflected on what her mother said and how she viewed it from her side. So I thought that that was just a really neat way to do that. And she did this all throughout the presentation, where it was the questions, some really good open-ended questions, and then some comments where she kind of put in her own thoughts as to how she felt about it. So overall, this was a really, really good project. I'm not going to like read through it, but the number one thing I wanted you to take away from it was the fact that it was really good open-ended questions. She included images. She gave that little bit of background. It's not just the questions and the answers, it's her comments as well from what she learned from that process. And I feel like that this all came together to make just a generally good presentation. So one thing I want to talk about, especially with PowerPoint, is that you can kind of play around with it a little bit. So let me show you this here. Sometimes I have actually done PowerPoints instead of uploading these to YouTube. But if you wanted to, what you could do is you could instead of making slides on the comments, you could actually add audio recording here. So if you go to record and then click on audio, it will allow you to record sound. And what it does is it puts it on each slide. And so you can kind of just add your recorded thoughts and it can play as the PowerPoint presents. So that's something you could potentially do. You could also do some screen recording. I actually haven't played around with that too much, so I'm not going to even try to do that. But that's something you could do if you wanted to upload it to YouTube like another student did. And I'm not going to, again, go through everything because I can't show identifying information here. But this particular student uploaded it to, she basically made a PowerPoint and then added in her questions and answers, but she and her mother, she recorded audio and put it on top of it. And so that way she could, she presented it that way. And that is absolutely something that you could do. So just 2 examples of what students have done. They did it very differently, kind of using the same tools, but both of them were very effective and both of them got really good grades. And of course, you can always write the paper. I'm giving you creative freedom with this. I know some of you that might make you just a little bit uncomfortable because you want to be told exactly what to do, but there's a reason behind it. It's because when you get out into your careers, you are going to be responsible for giving presentations. Now, a lot of times what that presentation is going to look like is going to be completely up to you. A lot of times I will tell you, there's nothing wrong with PowerPoints. PowerPoints are tried and true. I use them a lot. I don't mind if you use them, but my number one advice is try your best to make them interesting by adding in something cool like a slide effect or pictures or just something to help keep the audience engaged. Think about if I was sitting in the audience watching this, someone presenting it, what would I want it to look like? What would keep me engaged? What would keep me focused on the subject matter? And as I said, images can go a really, really long way because we are just a very visual society, especially your generation. There's some really cool information that talks about how different generations like to consume their media. So I pulled up this chart, and this is just really fascinating to me. Just first contact with news in the morning by age. And so if you look at it, smartphones reign supreme, but you know, if you're younger, 18 to 24, 45% are going to get it off their smartphones. There are still some people that will open up their desktop. Then you've got print, radio, which I think is really interesting. 11% of young people still listen to the radio, which I think is kind of cool. But notice that it's much higher for the older demographic, and then TV. But even this, look how little is in print and even radio. The biggest numbers by far are going to be these visual stimulators, a smartphone or TV, because a lot of times the smartphone, when you actually look at it, is going to be something that is going to be digitally engaging. So a lot of times, a lot of news stories have moved to videos. Like there are still news articles that people read, but even in the news articles that people are reading, there are going to be images associated with them to help them understand or create context for what they're reading. So they're still going to have that visual element to it. And then just, proportion that uses each during first contact with news in the morning via smartphone by age. So this is really funny. Where you're getting your information, a whopping 57% of younger generation is going to be getting it from social media apps. Excuse me. And then Facebook, I know Facebook is definitely not as popular with the younger crowd as it is the older crowd, but still it's just a 19% for 35 plus, which is my age. Twitter, which is now X, and Instagram. Instagram's not known for their news stories. Those are alerts like every morning I get my news. I know this sounds really weird, but from the BBC, because I feel like they are a little bit less biased. That's the British Broadcasting Company. So it's over in England, and they don't have as much political bias for American news. And so I tend to get it from them. And direct, that's like going to direct websites like Yahoo, CNN, ABC, NBC, things like that. But I mean, the research is fascinating, just like how we like to consume our media, especially across different generational age gaps. And so this is really as I said, just kind of fascinating to me. But just knowing that and knowing how visual, how people, we've started to consume this very visual media, we need to take that into account when we're making presentations. So it's something I want you to think about when you're making your presentation. So if you're choosing to do that PowerPoint, if you're choosing to do that Prezi, I would definitely include images in that. I've really enjoyed looking over the discussions this week. Y'all have done an excellent job with that. Just your big goal this week is to work on these presentations, or not presentations, you're not presenting them, but these profiles. And if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.